quarter of last year. Statistician General Rizenga Maluleke says while the official unemployment rate dipped slightly, the number of people discouraged from looking for work has now increased. He adds that despite this, the overall trajectory of South Africa's unemployment rate is beginning to show signs of decline.
We are starting to turn the corner when it comes to the unemployment challenge that we are facing as a country. The numbers are still there indeed, but we are starting to see our unemployment rate starting to decline.
The National Assembly has granted the ad hoc committee, which is investigating allegations of police corruption, another extension. The commission now has until the end of March to complete its work. It comes as the committee struggles to find time to complete gathering evidence from several outstanding witnesses. The Assembly adopted the motion on the extension during a virtual sitting today. Babalondenze reports.
The National Assembly met this morning to deal exclusively with the ad hoc committee's extension. It's the committee's third extension after receiving its first deadline extension to the 28th of November last year. One of the reasons for the extension is how the committee has not been able to sit this week due to the SONA debate and the President's response, which will take place over 3 days. There were no objections to the motion that was tabled by ANC Chief Whip Mdumiseni Nduli.
I'm standing here to present a draft resolution that the House extends the deadline by which the ad hoc committee to investigate allegations made by Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has to complete its task to the 31st of March 2026.
Some of the potential witnesses who must still give evidence include former Acting Commissioner Khomotso Phahlane, ANC fixer Brown Mogotsi, and a final appearance by Mkhwanazi. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
The owner of a cattle kraal where scores of people have flocked to mine for gold in Springs says she is worried about her livestock. Locals at the Gugulethu informal settlement believe they may have discovered gold deposits on a neighbor's property. The rumors of gold have drawn illegal miners and amateurs who say they want their chance at a better life. Nogukanya Mtambo is there.
Nontombi Mgijima, the owner of the kraal, has grown frustrated after a week of digging on her plot. She says she initially demanded a payment of between 20 rands and 50 rands for entry, but says it's difficult to monitor who has or hasn't paid for what would be prospecting rights.
There was never an agreement. They didn't sit down with us, requesting permission to mine for gold. They just arrived and started digging.
But the Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources and Ekurhuleni officials have again warned that digging for gold without a permit is illegal. Earlier, Ekurhuleni Metro Police were on site, which saw everyone in the kraal scatter briefly. It's understood the ward councillor has called for a community meeting for later today, but the locals here claim they've never met the councillor and are not interested in talks that don't present solutions to the socio-economic issues that they're faced with here. Nogukanya Mtambo, Eyewitness News in Springs on the East Rand.
Police are still busy with processing and verifying the fourth suspect arrested in connection with the murder of an e-hailing driver. The suspect, who handed himself over to police yesterday, was scheduled to appear in court today. But he is now expected to appear in the Pretoria Magistrates Court tomorrow. Isaac Satlat was murdered last week by passengers who had requested a ride on an e-hailing service in Pretoria West. Dimakatso Leshoro has more.
The suspect is expected to face charges of premeditated murder and hijacking alongside his 3 co-accused. The 4 suspects are alleged to have participated in the murder of 22-year-old Satlet, who was reportedly strangled to death last Wednesday after the suspects requested a ride. The incident, which was seen in a video widely circulated on social media, was captured by a dashcam inside his car. His body and vehicle were later discovered in Attridgeville on the same day. The 3 initial suspects previously appeared before the same court on charges of premeditated murder and robbery with aggravating circumstances. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News, Pretoria Magistrates Court.
And veteran U.S. civil rights activist Reverend Jesse Jackson has died. His family released a statement today confirming his death at the age of 84. Jackson was a dynamic speaker and a successful mediator in international disputes. The longtime Baptist minister expanded the space for African Americans on the national stage for more than 6 decades. His family says his unwavering belief in justice, equality and love uplifted millions of people. They have now urged the public to honor his memory by continuing the fight for the values that he lived by. Gold is trading at $4,920.75 an ounce. The rand is at 16.03 to the dollar, 21.79 to the pound, 18.99 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $68.85 a barrel.
Well, if you are heading into Sandton coming from the M1, you can expect some delays on Greyston Drive between Catherine Street and Rivonia Road. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Hyde Park, Edian Smuts and Republic.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 23 and 25 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. South Africa's official unemployment rate has dropped to 31.4%, down from 31.9% in the last 3 months of 2025.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Your brain's a well-oiled machine. Now put it to work in the brain of 702. Enter on primemediaplus.com. T's and C's apply.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Eight minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to 702 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, on this Tuesday, the 17th of February. For those of you that are celebrating Chinese New Year, Happy New Year to you. Can you imagine? We're going from the year of the snake, where you were shedding, to the year of the horse. Imagine horsepower, action, moving forward. No longer asking who I am, but now deciding what to do about who you are. And I'm sharing this maybe because I'm also going through my life things where there's so many changes, and I just hope that this can be a positive experience for you. Go and read up about it, or maybe we must chat about it in one of our Belief Matters feature, that what does it mean for the year of the horse for all of us. Coming up in the show, I want to find out from all of you about the circumstances that have or could leave you to cut off your parent or parents even in death. What are those circumstances, and how have you resolved it within yourself or made peace with it? How have you found closure? I want to hear from you. Tech feature, we're going to be talking high-tech gaming, Relooted, a bold African futuristic game redefining African storytelling. Looking forward to that one. We'll be joined by Ben Myers, CEO and Creative Director at Nyamakop. And then the second half of the show, our series edition on gun power. Some of you said last week I was a little bit too excited. I really was. And then I got to hold the gun off air, but I'll tell you about it in the series edition. Episode 3 is going to be about gun laws and self-defense. Themba Kubeka will be joining us again, South African security operator and firearms safety advocate. And then we wrap up with our car feature, where we're going to be talking about prototype racing, the battle of speed, GT versus prototype versus super bike. We'll be joined by Damien Hammond, who's a South African endurance racing driver and one of the country's premier multi-class circuit racing champions. And also joining us will be Andrew Horn, seasoned South African racing driver, competing in the Southern African Endurance Series. So it's going to be a jam-packed and fun show. And of course, we'll be giving money away as well. Get in touch with us, 011 883 0702. SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 afternoons
With Relebogile Mabotja.
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So there is a clip circulating of a gentleman being interviewed. I stand to be correct. I think it is on Newsroom Africa, the clips that I've seen. And in essence, this young man who is a Peter Maritzburg individual was saying he refuses to bury his basically deadbeat father. And he was supposed to go or asked to go and collect his father's body from a state mortuary, stating that he cannot bury a parent who abandoned him. He claims his father never supported him, failed to help him secure an ID, leaving him unemployed. And this comes as the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Health raises an alarm over overcrowded mortuaries and unclaimed bodies. So this man now says, I'm not going to be collecting that man's body. And the interview took place, it was sometime yesterday, where he was saying that the father abandoned the family. And it got so bad, this relationship, that according to this man, attempts to reconnect in later years with his father were met with hostility, culminating in the father obtaining a protection order against his own son and other family members. So that's how extreme it was. A protection order to say, stop contacting me. Stop. So I'm asking the question, and I've seen so many people commenting saying, you must honor your father's wishes by not collecting his body because he had a protection order against you. So why should you not honor the protection order because there's no life in that body? I do not blame this man at all. But there are some people who, that the idea of not honoring and respecting your parents, irrespective of how they treated you, irrespective of who they are and who they have become, they will see it through when it comes to their death, where they say, you know what, let me go and pay my final respects. And I've heard of many situations where people opt to not go to a parent's funeral. And what comes of that are elders, relatives, and others around you saying, listen, you will regret one day not paying your final respects. But some will say, how can I pay final respects when I have zero respect for this parent? So I want to know, have you been in that situation? What are the circumstances that have led to that? Maybe you have not been in that situation. But is there anything any of your parents could do that would make you cut them off even at the time of their death? And looking at the fact that we as South Africans, the way we believe in loyalty, the way we believe in honoring and respecting your parents, it is deeply rooted, not just in our culture, but also in big religions like Christianity. People will quote, honor thy mother and thy father. So is there a situation that could arise that would make you cut your parent off, that even when it came time for burial, you would be missing in action? I want to hear from all of you. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
What do you think is really at stake here? And what are you hoping for? What do you think could be the consequences of this judgment?
What we're really hoping for is a constitutional court as the final arbiters in a constitutional democracy, that when parliament fails, when the executive fails, it's up to the constitutional court to rescue the country. That is what citizens are expecting, because the institutions we've mentioned, like you've stated, they've had weird reports or views on what transpired. Maybe it is because the career ascension of the different heads of those institutions depends on the very same president they were asked to look into.
Vuyo Zungula, parliamentary leader for the ATM.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
In business, the right connections change everything. It's the stability you need for that once-in-a-lifetime virtual pitch, the lightning-fast speeds that keep you ahead of deadlines, and the consistent, high-quality signal your teams rely on every day. Because when your connectivity works seamlessly, so does your business. Power your work day with fast, reliable fiber from OpenServe, built to keep your operations running at full speed. Visit openserve.co.za today to learn more. T's and C's apply.
The Vodacom United Rugby Championship is one of the hottest tournaments on the planet. Hollywood Bets adds spice with an epic competition in which 400,000 Rand in cash, prizes and betting vouchers must be won. Prizes include a Vodacom URC VIP experience and a glamorous Table Mountain adventure. To enter, simply bet 13 Rand or more on any Vodacom URC fixture between 23 January and 16 May. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
If you run a business, your vehicles aren't just vehicles. They're capital investments on four wheels, and capital should perform. On Friday, the 20th of February, 702 will take you inside Pro One, an exclusive Stellantis showcase spotlighting the Peugeot professional pickup range engineered for South African businesses, from construction to agriculture to logistics. If your fleet is due for an upgrade and you mean business, tune in on Friday for live insights from the floor. Power your business with the confidence of Peugeot Professional on 702.
You're listening to 702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja,
winner for the best talk show
at the Telkom Radio Awards.
If 19 minutes after 1 o'clock, and we are having a conversation about the things your parent or parents could do that would put you in a situation where you would cut them off even after they have passed away. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. After an interview of a man in Pietermaritzburg sharing that he's not going to collect his father's body from the state mortuary because he did not contribute to their lives, and went so far that when he later tried to reconnect with the father who had abandoned him, the father ended up obtaining a protection order against him and other family members. Maybe you've already cut a parent off or opted to not attend a parent's funeral and say final farewells. What are the circumstances that led to that? Or maybe you're in a situation where you're like, I'm nowhere there, but if any of my parents did X, Y, and Z, then I would cut them off even in death. And I think it takes a lot for a person to not go to their parents' farewell, whatever that looks like, whether it's a funeral or a memorial service. It takes a lot for a child to not do that. what would the limit be for you? Or are you of the view that, hey, the Bible says, or my culture says, honor and respect your parents. So even if I've cut this person out my life, if they die, I will be there. I will be there and do the right thing. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Some of your messages are coming through. One comes from Akona Ubapile, who says, I would cut off my parents if they were deadbeat to the level of cutting me off. And I love how clear that they are being about that. And I think maybe even the way the word deadbeat is being used, because some people might think deadbeat means you can't financially contribute. I think let's be clear that deadbeat is not just about a person not having money. It's a person not contributing emotionally, maybe not contributing physically, and just contributing to the child's well-being and life, even if you don't have money. Olane says, there is nothing that my parents could do. For my own spiritual considerations, I would never cut a parent off. And then Nkosinati says, being a deadbeat parent, that would make me cut them off. Lerato says, he was a deadbeat, didn't feel anything when he died. The man was a complete stranger to me. And I think, isn't it interesting how a person can be a parent and a stranger at the same time? Their blood is running through your veins, but they're a stranger. They know nothing about you. You know nothing about them. Maybe the only thing you know about them is that they're not even interested in knowing anything about you. Kabashe says, the favoritism they show towards other siblings from childhood, if they make you feel like you are being done a big favor by being accepted in the family, why wouldn't you cut them off completely? These are things that we forget actually happen in people's homes. And that is the reality for many, where the favoritism goes so far that you can have kids in the house that have a completely different life. The ones that get to sit at the table and eat a normal meal, the others that maybe get locked away or must come and eat leftovers. Biological parents, might I add. Lebo and your team, good afternoon. That gentleman from that municipality, I fully understand his pain and I support him 100%. I have been in that situation and I know that pain, and that's the reason I said I support the gentleman. Relebogile, that man is an African from the motherland. He listened to what his father has said to him, and his father's word still is authoritative beyond, even in writing. I do not blame him talking about his case here. Irrespective of what happened, his creator has blessed and protected him all his life, Mus. I still wonder how he survived. And that is a good question. How do you survive when your parent, and it isn't just men, there are women who do the same things. It might not be the same volume, but there are many, many people who have been abandoned and neglected by their mothers. And it doesn't always look like a parent leaving and wanting nothing to do with you. You can be in the same home and be abandoned and neglected and not taken care of. So these things do happen, and that is a good question. How do you survive that? Hi, sister, what is bind? I'm not sure what they're trying to say. What is something on earth is also the same in heaven. That protection order is still working even in his death. Wabona, I actually didn't know the part about the protection order when I first heard the story. I heard the story and only saw the part that this person left abandoned and never came back. And that was reason enough. That was reason enough to say, why must I go fetch this body? Why must I bury this person and spend my money. When I heard about the protection order, I was like, Marawena, hey, as a dad, you took it far. A protection order. You took it far. That is some serious trauma and damage that you've caused on your child and your family. That is far. Mapula on the WhatsApp line says, Hi, Relebogile. I watched the interview yesterday on 405. I don't blame this man as he does not even have an ID card, let alone money to bury his dad. This man is broken. You see, that's the other part. Even if you are contacting your father to say, please help me, I need whatever, so I can go and get my ID. And then you give a protection order, knowing and understanding what opportunities you are blocking this person from that are basic survival. And I wonder if this man still doesn't have his ID. I really hope Home Affairs can step in and do something. We go to the lines, 011-883-0702. We've got Olela in Bedford View. Hi.
Hi, Relay. How are you?
Good, thanks, and you?
I'm good, thanks. Relay, maybe I'm toxic, but I support the child because if the father was not present, why should the child care whether he's passed or not?
Nah.
I am that petty as well. I would leave him there, let the ice finish him.
But wait, the ice.
No.
Sorry. I didn't expect the part of let the ice finish him. You know what? I don't think it's petty at all because petty makes it seem like it was something so small that this person did and you are just irritated, so you're being petty. That is not petty in my view. Like, that is your entire existence dependent on this person who chose to make you when he did what adults do. And now the protection order, I shame.
No, that's just taking it to the last straw. So that protection order, if it was valid when he was still alive, it should be valid even now.
So let me
not getting close to that corpse.
Let me ask you a question. If your family rallied around you to say, listen, we understand your frustrations, but at the end of the day, you wouldn't be here if it weren't for him. Please do the right things. Amolata stop.
Hi, in that case, the family will take care of the deceased because I also did not ask to be here. It was his decision to actually bring me here. And when I was here, he abandoned me. And then on top of that, took a protection order against me. Then if the family wants to bury him, by all means, they can go ahead and collect their corpse and do what they want to do with it. But I'm not getting involved.
Sure. I go blame me, ne? I also would be like, this sounds like none of my business. Exactly. When the cops come saying, come fetch the body, I'll be like, listen, I'm sorry, you got the wrong house.
Exactly, really.
Thank you so much, Olela in Bedford View. Kabelo, go Soweto, hi.
Hi, Mr. How are you?
Good, and you?
I don't think, I'll forgive my mother. My own mother, This woman, what she's doing to me is very... Yeah, it's not right.
What happened?
Phone, and we all have kids. And then I have Luande. Luande is now 3. And Luande only hydrophysis. I don't know, you know how hydrophysis is?
No, explain what it is.
Hydrophysis is a condition that the kids have too much water in the brain, so they have to drain it out.
Oh,
those
okay.
kids who are in hospital, they've got heat, so they don't see, they can't walk, they can't talk. And my mother is a traditional healer, so she'll say, and what. So
wait, can I just translate for everybody? In essence, you have a child who is extremely ill, and your mother says she doesn't want your child in her yard because he will bring bad luck.
Yeah, she say she's a curse. Luande is a curse. And so we had to move, me and my girlfriend, to find a place to stay. And remember, that means me and my wife cannot look for job or anything because Luande needs full-time attention.
Can I just can I ask you for something, Kabelo? Because I want to get to the heart of your story, but it's time for us to go to the news. Please stay on the line so we can hear the story of why it is you cannot forgive your mother. And we will make sure that we pick it up there. And then to everybody else coming up, we've got the Mahindra Fusion Fest quiz. To enter, WhatsApp the keyword Mahindra to 072 702 and 702 with your name and ID number. We could call you back to play for up to 10,000 Rand cash and 2 tickets to the fest on 702. And of course, T's and C's apply. It's just after 1:30, time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. Both houses of Parliament will begin a 2-day debate today on the State of the Nation address, which was delivered by the President last week. President Cyril Ramaphosa made several bold announcements in his speech, including the deployment of the army to gang-ravaged communities and the establishment of a crisis committee to deal with the country's water issues. These are amongst some of the issues set to dominate this week's debate. Statistics South Africa says the slight decrease in the unemployment rate was largely due to an increase in seasonal work during the fourth quarter of last year. The official unemployment rate has dropped to 31.4%, down from 31.9%. Statistician General Rizenga Maluleke says while the official unemployment rate dipped slightly, the number of people discouraged from looking for work has now increased. And the owner of a cattle kraal where scores of people have flocked to mine for gold in Springs says she's worried about her livestock. Locals from the Guguletu informal settlement believe they may have discovered gold deposits on a neighbor's property. The rumors of gold have drawn illegal miners as well as amateurs who say they want their chance at a better life. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, things are looking good throughout 702 land. No major delays or accidents have been reported on our highways. Just faulty traffic lights still in Hyde Park, Edian Smuts and Republic. Traffic lights not working in Rand Park Ridge at Bayers Nordia and the N1, as well as at Bayers Nordia and Jim Fisher. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
You've been mayor before. Looking at how you left the city and what has happened to it since, what's your impression?
Very, very sad state of affairs. I'm personally warning all the cadres who are occupying positions because of their close proximity to the politicians. In the event Action SA takes over, they must run.
How much does the entry of Helen Ziller into this race complicate things for you?
Makes it easy, actually, because when she looks at me, she doesn't see a 66-year man, she sees a boy.
What should residents of Johannesburg bear in mind about Herman Mashaba between now and the time they have to make their X?
Just remember that you have someone who cannot really be bought.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Mzansi, you don't want to miss out on playing Powerball and Powerball Plus for 64 million Rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday. Play Powerball for an estimated 42 million Rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 22 million Rand today. Buy your tickets now in store, nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints. Affordable, lasting luxury.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Why did your data subscribers go up by such a big number?
This massive growth that you're seeing, it's really at the back of our really data-led strategy, underpinned by our data science and CVM play. So, we've gotten to a point where we can really match customer behavior, to offer in real time using AI in essence. And that's what's been driving our mobile subs growth.
Lunga Seal, CEO at Telkom Consumer.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA CIB. Invested in your story because your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Spend your afternoon
with Relebogile Mabotja
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
25 minutes to 2 o'clock. We're having a conversation around the circumstances that have led you or could lead you to cut your parents off completely, even in death, after a Pietermaritzburg man said he's not going to collect his father's body from the state mortuary. Not only did this man abandon me, he also put out a protection order against me and the family. And to this day, I still don't have an ID because of that man. And we've been getting interesting comments. I saw one before I lose it on my TikTok live that said, if he wants me to bury him, he must take the protection order, go cancel it, then I'll go fetch his body. Yeah, now 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 and 702. Before we went to the news and an ad break, Kabelo was starting to share his story. Kabelo from Soweto, who was sharing that he's got a child who is unwell and requires 24/7 care, and his mother has basically said she does not want her that child in her yard because that child is cursed and is going to bring the curses here. And that is where we got to with the story with Kabelo. So what happened next, Kabelo? You and your partner and your child had to find somewhere else to live.
We had to find somewhere else to live and rent. And remember, we now have to survive on Lwanle's grant. We have to survive on the child's grant. And when we go to her, like Christmas, when she's buying other kids' clothes and stuff, she doesn't buy anything for him. And when I ask, Mama, he's not in your, but can you please buy something for him to show that? And he said, Mara, because
oh, so I can translate. Why should I buy the child clothes? Because where would the child be going? The child just stays sitting in the house.
Yeah, and it hurts me, to see like why is, or sometimes I'll say, Mama Rakupa Tuso ya Wakana. Remember, it's expensive to a child who is sick like that. There's diets, there's physio that he needs to go every week. And when you go and ask for small money to say, Mommy, can you help me to do this and that? She doesn't, but you'll find out, or she'll buy my younger brother's child who's 6 months and my child is 3. He'll buy him an expensive Nike 300. But
sure.
I just want things that die to fail so that my son can be well and be able to survive. And that thing has me, what happened in Christmas, cut it off totally because they bought everything. And while they were eating there, and I said, but Lwande doesn't eat these things. He wants this and this and this. And we don't have, but I wish that he can have a proper diet.
So let me say this to you, Kabelo. I do not blame you at all. If you needed to cut your mother off permanently, including after her death, because that child is your baby. That is your baby. And for your own mother to reject your baby, who's your new family. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yes, definitely. Definitely. And I mean, a child needs love, irrespective of the special needs that they have. Dr. Philemon is saying the condition is called hydrocephalus and says, please look it up on the internet. I will do so. Another person says, Relebogile, I'm really concerned with the way in which you treat this subject. Do you even realize how much hell some children give their parents? Do you know the procedure to obtain a domestic violence protection order? It appears that the young man was definitely not an obedient child. The parent of an obedient child will never apply for a protection order. Listen to both sides of the story. Well, how do we get the story of a dead man? And I'm sorry, but I think you underestimate that at the end of the day, the children are the children. There are children who give their parents hell. But in this case, you're bringing up a whataboutism in a very, very specific conversation. What about? But what about? Another one says the man is telling his own part of the story. What is the other part of the story? It's important to balance both before judging. Guys, what story would you like from a dead man? Help me understand. He's dead. What story would you like? How can we get the other side of the story? And let's also not nullify this man's experience. Who is the child? I so wish our hearts can be the same. I can't cut my parents even in a 1,000 situation. I'll just say, Lord, deliver me. At the end, my heart will be healed and I'll be at peace. Let me give you another scenario. There are people out there who discover that their child's grandparents are sexually abusing them. I think there are many situations where it would be valid to completely cut off a parent. Completely cut off a parent. There's a woman in the States, her mother babysat her child, the child died. Her mother babysat a second child, the second child died in the mother's, oversight. The second child. She went to jail for negligence. In what world would I keep that person in my life? Because these things happen. But we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for all of your messages. Do we have a WhatsApp or two? Yes, we do.
Hi, Relebogile. The voice note that I'm sending you now, it's my mother. And that was my last chance I've ever given her. I've renovated her house. I was accused of malicious damage to property. Cases have been opened up for me. I've been sent to courts. Protection orders have been done. False protection orders against me. My mother hates my children and she makes it a point that she makes them feel that they are hated, they are not wanted. She doesn't want them at her house and my father's house. She doesn't want them there, and yet she doesn't stay there. So even right now, I'm just out on the street. I've just told myself that I don't even want to have a memory of where my mother is buried, because I know even myself, if I die, she's going to do the same thing to me. If she can do that to my late sister who took care of her. She died, she ate her money, but today she doesn't even want to see or make a burial for her.
All right, let's take a listen to the voice note that he shared with us, saying this is what his mother has shared with him.
Hello, Masamul. How are you? Listen, I told Ruskan Sendela Tombstone. Mamel, even if unsendezi Yona, I think you need to tell yourself you have made a mistake. Litlapa lo khotso o tlo lenta mo litlapa leo. That tombstone eo, I'll make sure go khotso yena self wa lenta o lo khutlisetsa back where he bought it. You have made a mistake ya ro onsendele, so o tlo itshola le wena ne o tlo itshola. You have made a mistake. I told you not to send me that rubbish khotso a yentse mo, so now it is a war. I'll fight. Okay, thanks, bye.
Not okay, thanks, bye. At the end of all of that. Woo! I don't have words except to say, guys, we need family healing for many. Yo, thank you.
Fashion, art, and music will take center stage. And so can you by playing the Mahindra Fusion Fest quiz on 702.
All right, it's about that time. The Mahindra Fusion Fest 2026 goes down on Saturday, the 7th of March at Sunbet Arena, and it's going to be a cultural revolution, fusing unique expressions of music, fashion, and art into one-off performances for one night only. Muesli is hosting with live performances by Daliwonga, Focalistic, Kurt Darren, Claire Johnston from Mango Groove, Zingumalo, the Tshwane Gospel Choir, and more. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster. Complete a test drive at your nearest Mahindra showroom and stand a chance to win the Mahindra XUV3XO. T's and C's apply. We asked you all to send through the word Mahindra with your name and your ID. And we got in touch with Tasmeen Elms in Rosebank. Tasmeen, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. All right. Which category are you going to choose? Art, fashion, or music?
Fashion.
Are you sure you're going to go with fashion?
I don't know. Let's try.
Let's try it. All right. So you know what the rules are. You get 30 seconds to answer 5 questions based on your category, which is fashion. Each question answered correctly is going to earn you 2,000 Rand each. So now it's time to play the Mahindra Fusion Fest quiz. Let's start the clock. All right, true or false? Jewelry is fashion.
True.
What do you wear on your feet?
Shoes.
What do models walk on?
Stage.
Name a fashion accessory.
Fashion accessory. Rings.
Sorry?
Rings or scarf.
Okay.
Rings.
Name a true or false fashion is one of the Mahindra Fusion Fest themes.
Yes, true.
I'm looking at the judges. What are the judges saying? The judges are saying 10,000 Rand is yours! Oh my goodness, it has been 10,000 Rand courtesy of Mahindra Fusion Fest. And we are so excited because not only are you getting 10,000 Rand, you're getting 2 tickets. So who are you going with and how are you and I spending this money, babes?
I'll definitely be going with my boyfriend and I'll be there.
I love it. I love it. Stay on the line so we can make sure we have all of your details. Catch us again tomorrow for another chance to play the Mahindra Fusion Fest quiz on 702.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
Former Johannesburg Mayor Herman Mashaba has thrown his hat in the ring to reclaim the city of Johannesburg's mayoral chains. Mashaba is one of 5 Action SA members who were interviewed to become the party's mayoral candidate. Mashaba says he's not threatened by Helen Zilla's campaign to become the city's mayor.
I'm dealing with someone who, when she looks at me, she doesn't see a 66-year man, she sees a boy, which is an advantage for me because I know I was never a boy.
Meanwhile, the ANC and EFF have yet to announce their mayoral candidates, while Kene Gunene will lead the Patriotic Alliance's campaign.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
When your business needs strength, reliability, and serious capability, look no further than the Peugeot Professional Pickup Range. Built tough for South African conditions, Peugeot pickups are engineered for fleets, professionals, and the agricultural heroes who keep this country moving. From rugged load capacity to fuel-efficient performance, these pickups work as hard as you do, whether you're building, delivering, or farming. Peugeot has a model that's ready for the job. Visit your nearest Peugeot dealership today and power your business with the confidence of Peugeot Professional. Landtrek, it's pretty but tough.
Outsurance Life Insurance knows that your family trusts you to care, protect, and provide for them, even if you're no longer around.
More than anything, I need my child to be educated.
That's why 30-year-old Ntogozo pays only 233 Rand a month for over 1.5 million Rand life cover.
My little one would be secure. I trust Outsurance with my life.
Get Outsurance Life Insurance cover without doing any medicals. SMS Insure to 47159. That's Insure to 47159. Licensed Insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
This is financial year end. This is financial year end supercharged with the help of Zero Small Business Accounting software. Try Zero free for 30 days. Terms apply. Search Zero with an X.
702
Tech Feature.
11 minutes to 2 o'clock in our tech feature for today. We're talking about high-tech gaming and what it looks like when there is a bold African futuristic game redefining African storytelling. Get in touch with us, 011 883 0702, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Joining us for the conversation is Ben Myers, CEO and Creative Director at Nyamako. Ben, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Ben. Ben, are you there? Ben, are you on mute? Okay, so let us take a moment to see how we're able to get in touch with Ben. But in the interim, do give us a call, 011 883 0702, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 and 702. Let's try Ben again. Ben, hi.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good, thanks, and you?
I'm doing great.
All right, Ben. Please tell us all about this. What does one mean when we say high-tech gaming, especially if we're not in the gaming space? Some of us were playing gaming when it was Sega and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, well, games have come a long way since then, and they've come a long way being made in Africa too. You know, Relooted is an African futurist heist game where you reclaim real-life looted African artifacts from Western museums, and it's been played by people all around the world at an internationally competitive level. So games have come a very far way, and especially being made in Africa too.
So why was the African storytelling and the African creativity so important in the space that you're working in?
Well, I think in most mediums, from TV to novels to music, we've all grown up in South Africa consuming a lot of Western media. And it's particularly true in games. We grew up playing games that were made, you know, in the US or Japan or Europe. And I think it's about time that games were made in Africa and South Africa that the West started to play. So for us, it was really important to make this high production value game that would be played by people all over the world and experience African stories. We've spent so long perceiving what it's like in the West. Maybe it's time the West started perceiving what it was like in Africa.
Indeed, because we have so many unique things about us. And maybe you can share, what are some of the things where we have more experience and more interesting parts to the African storytelling in this gaming space? What is that thing that we have above the rest of the world?
Well, I think what we have is an untapped wealth of stories and cultures and heritage and ethnicities that haven't been told really in most mediums, never mind games. And we have this beautiful history of ancient civilizations on the continent that haven't really been explored. Everything from, you know, Great Zimbabwe to Mansa Musa to the Benin Empire. We have all these stories that are just ripe for being told and spoken about that no one is bothering to tell. And so our advantage here on the continent and in South Africa is we know these stories, we live them, we experience them, we walk the same steps as the ancient civilizations that, you know, were on the continent. So that's a huge advantage in a medium and an art form that is hungry for new ideas.
And I think it's going to be so interesting just to see, you know, once that ceiling is fully broken, what more can come out of not just the continent, but also South Africa. Chat to us about Relooted and what it's all about.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, Relooted is an African futurist heist game about reclaiming real-life looted African artifacts from Western museums. It's a fun heist game, but all the artifacts in the game are real, and as of today, reside in Western museums. Something I didn't realize when I started working on the game, a French government report told us this, but something from 90 to 95% of African cultural heritage is kept in Western museums and private collections off the continent. We almost have this wealth of history and knowledge about Africa and its civilizations that we don't know and we don't know how to speak about. And Relooted is a game that sort of celebrates and explores that heritage and history while also bringing to light all these artifacts that we don't quite have on the continent. So it's a very interesting game. It's a fun game, but I think also we all can learn a lot about the continent and its civilizations from playing it.
Definitely. Did you have an interesting chuckle when the French Museum got robbed?
I did. I was a bit disappointed though. I was
that
a bit
they got
disappointed
caught.
You spend No, I was disappointed because it looked so easy. We spent all this time with these elaborate security systems in the game. Apparently, all we needed was a ladder this whole time. It would have saved us a few years of development, to be honest, if we'd known that.
Sorry, and I mean, obviously, you saw the many memes going around being like, firstly, you don't even have your own things. They are stolen items that are sitting there right now. But in terms of the underlying message, is it possible? Because you know how people say children playing violent games is going to make them violent. Do you think people playing this game is going to make them want to go loot our artifacts and bring them back home?
Oh, definitely not. I think there's a huge conversation that's been happening for decades about real life restitution of these African artifacts. And it's a very complicated process, which involves a lot of paperwork. And one thing video games are not good at is paperwork. That's just not fun to play. What we really want to give players is the experience of what it's going to feel like eventually when these artifacts come home. But there's very little we teach people in the game that's actually going to be useful in a heist. As I said, with the Louvre heist, all it took was a ladder. We don't even have ladders in our game. So not going to be very useful for real life heisting, apparently.
Okay. And I think that is definitely something to think about, because the fact that it's also going to be creating conversations is a big deal. This launched just last week, and how has the reception been so far?
The reception's been really interesting because we obviously feature a lot of artifacts from all across the continent, but also feature artifacts from all over the world because a lot of places have had the artifacts looted. So we've seen everywhere from, museums and museum workers in Europe and the US to normal everyday people in Brazil being really thrilled to see us talking about this issue and this issue of cultural heritage repatriation. So we've really seen a worldwide response to the game, and that's been really amazing to see.
And then, is it a multiplayer game, and does it have an age restriction?
So it is not a multiplayer game. It does have an age restriction, but it's very low. It is, I believe, 7 to 10 up, because we really wanted to make sure that as young as possible, people could play this game and learn about the history and culture of the African continent. So it is a non-violent game completely. There is no violence in the game. So if you're 10 years and above, you can play this game and learn about African history and culture.
Please help us understand, just in terms of the development, for somebody listening and dreaming, sitting with a brilliant idea, how long does it realistically take from concept to execution to create and build a whole game?
It can take quite a while. Our project was unusually long because we thought it was a really important project to get right. So we've worked on this for somewhere between 6 to 8 years, which is unusually long. But you can make a game from anywhere to 2 to 4 years. And especially in independent game development, when prototyping ideas, people make initial versions of games from anywhere from 48 hours to a few weeks. So it ranges quite drastically, but video games are very technically advanced and complicated things to do. So depending on the game you want to make, it can take quite long and cost quite a lot of money. The most important thing, if you have internet, if you have electricity, if you have a computer, is just starting as much as you can. You can even start with board games and learn that way. Everyone can make games. It's just a matter of how you start and starting.
I have to say, I love the fact that you featured such top talent to voice the game. You've got your Lazola Gola, you've got Ntate Jerry Mofokeng, Tumi Morake, Mam Abigail Kubeka. How did you go and decide that if we're going to do this, we better do it right and get the best of the best?
I think that was crucially important for us because I think in the last few years, we've particularly seen almost the Wakandification, some people call it, of the African accent. It's sort of become Africa as a country as an accent. So for us, we have a heist crew and it involves people from Kenya and Angola and Cameroon and the DRC. So for us, as much as possible, we wanted to try and get voice actors who sounded like they were from that place because we have such an incredible diversity of accents from all over the continent. And for us, it would have been a waste of time to make this game for 6 to 8 years and then not have African actors and accents playing those roles. I think it might be the most diverse collection of African accents in a video game ever, by far. And that's something that's really important to us. There's no point making a game about African culture and history and then not having the literal voices of those characters be as authentic as the real artifacts.
Please help me know, where can we play the game?
So it's available right now on Steam, the Epic Game Store for PC. It's also available on Xbox consoles. It's Xbox Play Anywhere and also available on Xbox Game Pass, I think for just under 200 Rand.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for chatting to us. And we cannot wait to have the entire world talking about our very own game. Ben Meyer, CEO and Creative Director at Nyamakop. In the next hour of the show, our series edition on gun power. We're talking gun laws and self-defense, and our car feature as well. It's 2:00.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon. I'm Bali Dlamini. Members of Parliament are expected to begin a debate on the State of the Nation address, which was delivered by President Cyril Ramaphosa last week. In his address, Ramaphosa made several bold announcements, including the deployment of the army to gang-ravaged communities and the establishment of a crisis committee to deal with the country's water issues. These are among some of the issues set to dominate this week's debate. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
In an address that lasted almost 2 hours, President Cyril Ramaphosa crossed a diverse terrain of issues plaguing the country. He says the country is emerging from a dark 5 years following the COVID-19 pandemic, floods and civil unrest.
We are turning towards hope, towards the reality of a better future for all. The progress we have made over the last 5 years does give us hope and encouragement. It shows what we can achieve when we work together.
While the economy is starting to tick up again, the gains are still small and slow, and opposition parties are likely to hit back at the Government of National Unity, with party and parliamentary leaders among the first speakers. Other topical issues due to be debated are the interim report of the Matlanga Commission, the proposed interventions in dysfunctional municipalities, and the unbundling of Eskom to allow for private operators. The debate will be followed by Ramaphosa's reply on Thursday. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Statistics South Africa says the slight decrease in the unemployment rate was largely due to an increase in seasonal work during the fourth quarter of last year. The official unemployment rate has dropped to 31.4%, down from 31.9%. Statistician General Rizenga Maluleka says while the official unemployment rate dipped slightly, the number of people discouraged from looking for work has increased. He adds that despite this, the overall trajectory of South Africa's unemployment rate is beginning to show signs of decline.
We are starting to turn the corner when it comes to the unemployment challenge that we are facing as a country. The numbers are still there indeed, but we are starting to see our unemployment rate starting to decline.
The owner of a cattle kraal where scores of people have flocked to mine for gold in Springs says she's worried about her livestock. Locals at the Gugulethu informal settlement believe they may have discovered gold deposits on a neighbour's property. The rumours of gold have drawn illegal miners as well as amateurs who say they want their chance at a better life. Nogukanya Mdambo is there.
Nontombi Mgijima, the owner of the kraal, has grown frustrated after a week of digging on her plot. She says she initially demanded a payment of between 20 rands and 50 rands for entry, but says it's difficult to monitor who has or hasn't paid for what would be prospecting rights.
There was never an agreement. They didn't sit down with us, requesting permission to mine for gold. They just arrived and started digging.
But the Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources and Ekurhuleni officials have again warned that digging for gold without a permit is illegal. Earlier, Ekurhuleni Metro Police were on site, which saw everyone in the kraal scatter briefly. It's understood the ward councillor has called for a community meeting for later today, but the locals here claim they've never met the councillor and are not interested in talks that don't present solutions to the socio-economic issues that they're faced with here. Nogukanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News in Springs on the East Rand.
The Department of Sport, Arts and Culture has revealed national sports federations are facing major funding and governance challenges. Briefing Parliament today, the department says out of 75 members of the South African Sports Confederation, Olympic and Paralympic Committee, only 60 sporting codes are receiving funding. The department says a total of 98 million rand has been allocated to sports federations for the current financial year. Ntutu Zelonene has more.
The Sports, Arts and Culture Department says governance in South African sports remains a serious concern. The department says 51% of federations do not employ any staff, a situation described as unsustainable and detrimental to proper administration and athlete support. The lack of funding continues to impact athletes directly, raising concerns about development and international competitiveness. The department's Deputy Director General Vincent Campbell says they want to start a sport fund to which private businesses and individuals can contribute.
Even federations that are doing well here with billions in their banks will contribute to this fund to then augment the meager resources that we have as government to ensure that we give every federation the best possible opportunity in terms of funding to achieve their full potential.
The department says it's working to strengthen compliance and improve governance across federations. Dr. Zalonene, Eyewitness News.
And veteran U.S. civil rights activist Reverend Jesse Jackson has died. His family released a statement this morning confirming his death at the age of 84. Jackson was a dynamic speaker and a successful mediator in international disputes. The longtime Baptist minister expanded the space for African Americans on the national stage for more than 6 decades. His family says his unwavering belief in justice, equality and love uplifted millions of people. They have now urged the public to honor his memory by continuing the fight for the values that he lived by. Gold is trading at $4,920.75 an ounce. The rand is at 16.05 to the dollar, 21.76 to the pound, 18.98 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $68.85 a barrel.
Well, at this stage in Germiston, heading towards Brakpan, there's slow-moving traffic on the N17 eastbound. This is between Wits Rifles Drive and Osborne. Otherwise, the rest of 702 land looking pretty good. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Hyde Park, Edian Smuts and Republic.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 23 and 25 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Members of Parliament are expected to debate the State of the Nation address, which was delivered by President Cyril Ramaphosa last week.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour, 702 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. And we're going to be jumping into episode 3 of our series edition on gun power. That's gun safety and control. We're chatting gun laws and self-defense with Themba Kubeka, South African security operator and firearms safety advocate. And don't worry if you've missed the other episodes, primemediaplus.com, or download the app. And then we're going to be having our car feature where we'll be talking prototype racing and the battle of speed. GT versus prototype versus super bike. We'll have two guests in studio, Damien Hammond and Andrew Horn. They are both successful racing drivers in their different fields, and we'll have them chatting to us. So get in touch with us, 011-883-0702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702.
Series Edition.
We continue with our series edition for the month of February on gun power. We're talking gun safety and control. PrimeMediaPlus.com or download the Prime Media Plus app to catch up on episodes 1 and 2. Today is episode 3 as we talk gun laws and self-defense. We're joined by Themba Kubeka, who is South African security operator and firearms safety advocate. Your calls on 011 8830702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Themba, welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. And yourself?
I'm very disappointed, Themba. I got so used to having you here with me, but you are busy.
Yeah, I am. So I figured now we can't just disappoint the listeners, so let's find a way.
All right. So before we jump into today's subject, we did not tell the listeners that you actually gave me a demo when we went off air. Can you tell the listeners what the gun was that you were showing me before I post a photo of me holding it? There needs to be context because the pictures the team got, Shem, it looks like I was doing some things I shouldn't be doing in studio.
Yeah. No. Firstly, the listeners need to know that there was no ammunition in the room. The gun was completely clear and the slide was back when we opened the case. There was no magazine present at all. It was a Glock 43X, which is a slimline edition of the legendary Glock company that makes polymer firearms, which are lighter, not as heavy as the old full metal firearms. That's what it was.
And you were obviously showing me where the finger always needs to be, which I don't know if you refer to it as the arm or the neck of the gun.
Yeah, just outside of the trigger guard.
Yes.
Along the slide, yeah.
The one thing you didn't share with me because we ran out of time is when you are pulling out your weapon, where should your finger go?
Your finger always stays on off the trigger until you are ready to press that trigger, to pull that trigger.
Yes. Okay, now as we jump into gun laws and self-defense, we touched on it briefly last week when we were talking about the different weapons. And one of the things that we spoke about which was, a lot of listeners were like, what do you mean I can't chase after a person if this has happened? Can we touch on what qualifies as self-defense in South Africa?
Well, self-defense is when you're acting acting against an ongoing, imminent and criminal attack against you or another innocent party next to you, if you are able to do so.
Ongoing, meaning it's still happening currently.
Yes.
Imminent, meaning that...
And criminal.
And criminal. So does the imminent infer that it is something that is possibly escalating?
Yes.
Okay. And then criminal is something that is against the law.
Yes. Because sometimes you can see a crowd of people looking like they're attacking someone only to find out the public is trying to perform a citizen's arrest. So imagine pulling out your firearm and shooting. We had one such case, I think it was in KZN, where someone saw, it was a policeman in uniform seeing someone being chased, only to find out the person he then shot was an off-duty, an undercover police officer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And
most of the times we'd say, don't get involved.
Yes. Okay. And in the case of self-defense, the intention is not to take a life. Can you just reiterate, as we touched on this the last time, it's not shoot to kill. It is to do what?
It is to stop the threat. That is what self-defense is. So there's a threat, there's an ongoing, imminent, and unlawful threat against you. Right? You want to stop that. So you then use your firearm as a means to stop that attack on you.
I know we are more exposed as South Africans to American scenarios and court cases in the fiction stories, right? And of course, there you can get away with lawsuits and other things. When it comes to South African law, what are some of the things that they ask to assess whether the threat was imminent? And I'll give an example of a scenario that I am aware of where the man served no time. It was ruled as self-defense, but he was in the home with his wife and 3 small children. He heard the people breaking in. He sent, locked them all in a room and had his firearm with him while hiding. And in essence, he waited for them to be inside the house, thinking that they are inside and nobody heard them before he started firing. And I don't think any of the guys made it out alive, but he never served any jail time. Now, if obviously this were to go to court, it could be argued that, but how do you know they were going to kill you? Would something like that count as self-defense, or is it really on a case-by-case basis?
Right. First of all, let's say things go on a case-to-case basis. First of all, just because there's been a defensive shooting does not mean everything will end up in court. There's discretion on the investigator to check if there's any foul play or if your story doesn't doesn't come together in the end when they're trying to put all the facts together. Then they would recommend to a prosecutor to take the case to court, and you then have to the onus of is now it lies on you as the person that used your licensed firearm. Nonetheless, if it satisfies all the elements of a self-defense shooting, then the first thing that happens is an inquest. It's not always a case. There'll be an inquest. Once the inquest says, no, something doesn't seem right, or someone is not sure about something, then it might go to court for you to then have to break it down and present your case in a court of law. I told you I had two attacks last year, major attacks, one in KZN, one in Gauteng. I haven't been to court. There's no case against me.
I get you. And I think I'm happy that you are clarifying that it doesn't mean everything is going to go to court. Sometimes the information that has been provided is sufficient enough for them to say, NPA, do you want to take this on or not? And they say there's no reason for us to proceed for whatever reason.
For instance, let's use the case that we used last week. A guy did a defensive shooting, and then he went on air saying that he was aware the whole time that the gun that was pointed at him was not real.
Oh, yes, I remember, yes.
Therefore, inferring that he could have found other ways to save his life or to stop the crime from going on. Because that can then be used against him in court. Because if those people get a nasty lawyer who's who's going to go and defend them, and that's a whole story. But if he sticks to a story that I saw being pointed at me, I feared for my life, and I wanted to stop this crime from, the statistics will be on his side to say many of these cases end up with the victim dead.
I am with you completely, and there's a WhatsApp message here that says, Relebogile, you make me laugh. People don't break into your home to have a party with you. They will hurt you. Look, I have to be honest, I don't have a firearm, but I completely support what that man did to protect his family, because in many cases you don't want to take the risk. But what do you advise, Themba, in situations like that where somebody's breaking into your home and you are aware that they are coming in and you still have some time to act? Do you say to the lay person, let's assume they do have a licensed firearm in the home, do you say run, or do you say take position and be ready to protect?
You're saying the man was with his family, so you you tell your wife to call either the security company if you subscribe to one, or the neighborhood watch, or the police, whatever law enforcement wing that you think will be closer to you, and you stay guard. You're the man. It's expected of you. I mean, when you as a woman are sleeping and you hear noises outside, you wake the man up. So I say you have your firearm and you stand ready. You can even, in fact, it's advisable for you to tell the guys, don't come in, please. We can hear you are awake. Please leave. If you come in here, I'll be forced to take action, and it will probably be legal action.
Yes.
You know, so you've done your part. Because even if after you shoot a person on the street, like it happened with me in KZN, I had to call the police and call an ambulance to say, okay, someone has just been shot. You know, and I rushed my friend who had been shot. I rushed him to hospital, but I wasn't going to pick this guy up and take him with me to hospital because he was in a different state than my friend.
Okay, so let's come back to the laws. Gun laws, and obviously when you go for your competency and you go and prepare to get your license for a specific firearm, which, to remind everybody that every firearm has its own license. So you don't have a license to own a firearm. Now you can buy 10, 20. You have to keep applying to have a new firearm. But what are some of the things that they share with you in that preparation for you to get your firearm around the gun laws and the self-defense?
Exactly what we've just discussed, what self-defense is. And it's really that simple. If you hold on to that one line that says it has to be an ongoing, imminent, and unlawful attack on you, on your person, not to say you shot someone because they were outside fiddling with the door lock of your car. That is a different scenario. Otherwise, we're going to have another one of those nasty Valentines that South Africa had not so long ago. So you are responsible for every round that leaves your firearm. So if it lands on someone that it was not supposed to land on, you're liable for that injury.
So me catching you in bed with another woman in our marital bed, where I feel that this threat to my heart is imminent and I fire. I can't say self-defense, but maybe I can say temporary insanity.
Yeah, well, you're gonna need you're gonna have to buy your lawyer a brand new Porsche. So, so that's as far as it can go. But you cannot plead self-defense in that scenario because you are not under any physical, criminal or imminent attack in any way.
Okay, I'm seeing some questions that are coming through on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 702. Temba, before we go to the lines, are there any other gun laws that maybe are not as popular that we need to be aware of? For example, if your firearm gets stolen, is there a law that you have to go and report it stolen?
Yeah, yes, by law you have to report it. Otherwise, that gun will be found at the scene of a crime. You are part of that crime, one way or another. Either it will be suspected you were there and you left your gun there, or you rented your gun out, or you failed. It's a charge again, failure to report a stolen firearm.
Sure.
You see. Also, the storage of firearms, which leads to a lot of these firearms being lost. Sections 84 and 86 of the Firearms Control Act of 2000 require for the firearm to be stored in an SABS approved safe. In most cases, that safe will be bolted down with 10mm roll bolts. If it's not there, it's on your person in a prescribed holster. Those are the two places where you can keep your firearm. Not under your pillow, not on top of the wardrobe, not in granny's suitcase, not in your wife's handbag, not under your seat as you drive, not on the door panel, not in the cabby holder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got Abdul on the line. Abdul in Midrand. Hi, go ahead, Abdul.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to ask, I have a dedicated sports shooting license, which is obviously valid for 10 years. So I had a choice between getting a self-defense license and a dedicated sports shooting license. The difference is one expires in 5 years and the other expires in 10. And obviously the amount of ammunition you're legally allowed to carry. But my question is, am I allowed to use my dedicated sports shooting license legally to defend myself and other people, my family or anyone else who's in a life-threatening position? That's my question.
Oh, that's a very, very good one, Abdul. Temba, are there limitations? Because I would assume that whatever is around you that can be used as a weapon, assuming the circumstances are as you described under self-defense, a person would be okay.
Our law is nice in a sense that it would say in this instance that you may use any firearm license to you for any lawful purpose. That's the long and short of it. Yes, firearms are the licenses are issued per section, which has varying purposes for each of these sections. But you may use any firearm license to you for any lawful purpose.
And I think that basically covers you, Abdul.
Yeah. I just was, because I was getting conflicting advice sometimes from the legal point of view, because obviously I can't own two licenses, one for self-defense and one for sports shooting unless I have a number of firearms.
You can, sir. You can.
For the same firearm?
No, not for the same firearm. I'm saying you can have two licenses. In fact, there's an instance where you can have two licenses for different people for the exact same firearm.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So Abdul can go and apply for a self-defense firearm license as well.
You can buy a firearm for self-defense and keep it primarily for self-defense. All right? So that he has it. He doesn't have to use just that one for self-defense, though. He just has it. So, for instance, I'll give you, let's say Abdul buys a Glock tomorrow, a pistol, handgun. He buys that, it's for self-defense, and then he decides he wants to buy an AR-15. There's nothing that says when the need arises, he cannot use his AR-15 that he got for sport shooting purposes, or his bolt rifle that he got for hunting. He can use anything to defend himself.
All right, Abdul, I think you are answered there. Thank you so much for your call. And then we go to a voice note on 0727021702.
Hi, Relebogile. Sorry, you must be thinking, who's this? I'm disguising my voice so that nobody can recognize me. Disclaimer. So I wanted to ask, when he says you can defend yourself or somebody else in the same vicinity as you, and then he goes on to say, but don't get involved. So it sounds like a contradictory statement. I'm not sure. If you could just clarify that. How do you not get involved? And I mean, can you be held liable if you're standing next to a situation, you are armed, you had the opportunity to defend a life and you didn't get involved? Can you be held liable by the SAPS officials? Thank you. This is Peter from Manzaville. Thank you, Relebogile.
Thank you for disguising your voice. I'm trying to figure out who it is. Temba, how do you respond to that?
All right, I think she misheard me there. I said we would say in most instances, do not get involved if you don't have the facts, because you could act thinking that you're doing the right thing and find yourself hauled to court over hot coal because you did what felt right to you at the time, but you didn't know the circumstances around it. And the person you probably thinking is the attacker might not necessarily be an attacker. It could be a police operation. For instance, I've been involved in operations where it looks like a robbery. We had one in Melrose Arc where people thought the restaurant was being robbed because we were in private clothing with a lot of police people there to arrest people who had just committed a crime and were meeting there. And we were waiting for them there. So it's a different scenario because somebody sitting next to us could have thought, oh, they're robbing the restaurant where I'm sitting at. Let me take action. I would not advise on doing that. I was just clarifying that the law allows you to protect another innocent person. For instance, the ongoing imminent threat could not be directly aimed at me. As I said in the case of my shooting in KZN, it was my friend that was being attacked, but we were together. So I acted to defend both of us.
Can I ask a question very quickly? There's one that says, if I'm being attacked by an unarmed individual while I'm armed and I shoot, does that also qualify as self-defense? I would assume if somebody's got their hands around my throat and is trying to strangle me, it could still qualify. So as in, you can use your gun for self-defense even if the other person is not carrying a gun. Is that correct?
Yeah. What if, for instance, if I myself, an able-bodied young man, attacks a 75-year-old man because I'm trying to take his wallet, the only thing that can equal, in terms of our strength physically, the only thing that can equal the playing ground for him is him shooting me. So in those instances, the burden of proof will just lie on the person that's doing the shooting, and the court will decide whether you used excessive force or it was equal force.
All right, Temba, we're going to have to leave it there as we've run out of time. Fortunately, we still have another episode together to chat about all things in the series, gun power, gun safety and control. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. It's just after 2:30. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. Statistician General Rizenga Maluleke says unemployment, especially amongst the youth, remains a pressing national challenge. He made the remarks while releasing the fourth quarter labour force figures, which show a decline in the unemployment rate. Unemployment decreased to 31.4% from 31.9% in the previous quarter. Maluleke says any suggestion that South Africa is not facing a serious unemployment crisis is a misrepresentation of reality. Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya is expected to appear before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry tomorrow. EWN understands Sibiya's testimony will be heard over several days, possibly into Tuesday next week. In March last year, EWN sat down with Sibiya to unpack some of the rumours around tensions between himself and KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. And President Cyril Ramaphosa has paid tribute to veteran U.S. civil rights activist Reverend Jesse Jackson. Ramaphosa says Jackson's campaigns against apartheid were a towering contribution to the global anti-apartheid cause. Earlier today, Jackson's family confirmed his passing at the age of 84. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 3 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
In Menlo Park, Pretoria, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on Linwood Road between Atterbury and Brooklyn Road. There's also slow-moving traffic if you're leaving the Joburg CBD on Main Reef Road. This is between the M2 and Production. Otherwise, the rest of 702 land looking pretty good. And no serious accidents have been reported on our highways. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Hyde Park, at Jan Smuts and Republic. In the Rand Park Ridge, traffic lights not working at Beyers Naudé and the N1, as well as Beyers Naudé and Jim Fushia. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Peter Major, mining analyst. What typically takes place if there were a find of gold in the way that the story suggests?
The right process, you had to apply to the Department of Mineral and Energy Affairs to prospect a designated area. And the area is designated by you. Whatever reason you had, if you determined you want to go prospect for minerals in this certain area, you had to know a fair amount. Who's the official landowner? You have to pay a yearly fee.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
This moment is what Curls in Bloom is all about. We have got coming up for us a fantastic opportunity where we'll be announcing the winner of the Curls in Bloom scholarship. And we're going to have the winner that is joining us for that. And make sure you stay tuned.
The Checkers Extravaganza is now on with over 1,500 deals every week. Like Steakhouse Classic man-sized T-bone steak for 150 Rand per kilo. Sparletta or Twist soft drinks 2 litres, any two for 29 Rand. And Clover Long Life Milk, a 1 litre 6-pack for 94.99. Valid until 22 February 2026. Only at Checkers, Checkers Hyper or shop on 6060.
Pedal Power Association proudly supports the Cape Town Cycle Tour, and it's more than just a ride, as every entry helps change a life. Proceeds from the race are donated to communities in need, opening doors to education, work and independence. And for every 20 cyclists who enter from Jozi, 1 bicycle is donated to a community in need. So when you pedal, you're not just riding for yourself, you're helping communities move forward. Go to CapetownCycletour.com, proudly supported by Prime Media Cares.
When the Mahindra Fusion Fest 2026, powered by 702, brings you Z, Focalistic, Dali Wonga, Zoe Mudija, and more. Fashion, art, and music will take center stage. And so can you by playing the daily Mahindra Fusion Fest quiz on 702 for up to 10,000 Rand and 2 tickets to the fest. WhatsApp the keyword Mahindra to 072-702-1702 with your name and ID number. Every day this week from 1 p.m., 702 afternoons with Relebogile Mabotja could call you back. The Mahindra Fusion Fest 2026, powered by 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
Mzansi, you don't want to miss out on playing Powerball and Powerball Plus for 64 million Rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday. Play Powerball for an estimated 42 million Rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 22 million Rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. with John Perlman. John, how are you doing?
Yes, doing well, thanks. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to the listeners. Hope you're well.
Thank you so much. So I have to just ask, John, we're talking earlier about people who choose to cut their parents off in the circumstances, even in death. What were your thoughts if you saw the man in Pietermaritzburg who they said, please come fetch your father's body? And he said, that man did not only abandon me, he also put a protection order on me, and I still don't have an ID to this day, so I'm not going to fetch his body.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is obliged to forgive. I just think that's an impossible burden to put on anybody. I mean, I saw a bit of that, and clearly the wounds were deep. Yeah, I would never presume to say to somebody, but because I don't think, I think ultimately you've got to resolve things with yourself. And if you can't, and you go to somebody and say, okay, no, but it's all fine, I think that comes back to bite you. I think that man must walk his road, painful as it's been. I wish him well.
All right, what's coming up on your show today?
So coming up on the show, new unemployment numbers are out. There's a slight improvement, but the overall numbers are still utterly alarming. 7.8 million South Africans unemployed, and the 80% of those chronically unemployed, i.e. without work for 12 months or more. We'll explore that on a number of different levels throughout the show. One of the things we want to look at quite closely, or two things. One is graduate unemployment. It often gets referred to, but what exactly does it mean? Who's unemployed and why? And the second thing we want to look at, and this will be with the listeners' contribution, is obviously we look at and recognize the material consequences of unemployment, but what about the extreme undermining of people as people when they can't find work and they can't form relationships and they can't contemplate starting a family or whatever. So we'll look at both of those dimensions. People still digging for gold in Springs, whether there's gold there or not, remains to be seen. We'll talk about that after 4 o'clock. There's going to be changes to the prime rate or the repo rate. I'm suddenly blank on which, but there's going to be a big change in that regard. We're going to look at what the implications are for you and me and anybody else who has to borrow money. Maya Fisher-French joins us for that. SONA debate is underway. I look up and see John Steenhuisen was speaking. Julius Malema, leader of the EFF, is speaking now. And we'll get an update on that from Parliament from Lindsay Dentlinger. That's in the first half hour of the show.
All right, that's 702 Drive with John Perlman coming up from 3 to 6 p.m.
Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
20 minutes to 3 o'clock, as I already shared. This moment is what Curls in Bloom is all about. Investing in young women's futures, empowering them and breaking cycles of economic inequality. And right now, the winner of the Curls in Bloom Scholarship is about to be announced. And this is so exciting. Dineo Maugu, congratulations. You are getting 30,000 Rand towards your studies and a 4-week internship at Sunpack, a hands-on real-world experience where what you've learned in the classroom comes to life. How are you feeling, Dineo?
Thank you so much. I'm feeling so blessed right now. I really, really needed this funding.
And it is definitely tough out there. So tell us why you decided to apply for the Curls in Bloom Scholarship.
I was looking for funding, and out of all the bursaries I saw, this scholarship aligned the most with my beliefs and work. So I was studying fine arts, and my work stands for Black women identity through their hair. So I'm passionate with seeing a Black woman comfortable in their curls, as European beauty standards had taken that away from us through colonial ideals. For me, it's a form of liberation.
Then maybe share with us, if those are the reasons you applied, what does it mean to you that you have won, and what does that represent?
Personally, it means seeing a progression from what I grew up not seeing, representation of Black hair, and academically, it means I'm a step further into attaining my qualification and graduating.
And I think that is the dream for so many. Please tell us what it is you're studying.
Fine arts.
Oh, yes, yes. Listen, you must so go in there with everything you've got, and I know you're going to do well. So congratulations again, Dineo, and thanks to Curls in Bloom, giving opportunity, experience, and a future that you can reach right here on 702.
This is financial year end. This is financial year end supercharged with the help of Zero Small Business Accounting Software. This is you talking to your accountant or bookkeeper. This is you talking to your accountant or bookkeeper with the help of Zero Small Business Accounting Software. So supercharge your business with the help of Zero and blast past financial year-end stress. Try Zero free for 30 days. Terms apply. Search Zero with an X.
This is a message from Johannesburg Water. Johannesburg Water understands the frustration and inconvenience some residents are experiencing due to the current water interruptions in some parts of the city. Their technical teams are working around the clock to stabilize supply by repairing major leaks, managing system pressure, and coordinating closely with the bulk supplier. Focused interventions are underway on critical systems and areas to support system recovery and restore supply. Alternative water supply continues being provided in affected areas. Johannesburg Water, a water utility that cares.
Buy any Hills pet food and you could win one of 10 holidays worth 200,000 Rand each. Or take the bus. Scientifically proven formulas for your pet. An adventure for you. Hills Pet Nutrition. Science does more. T's and C's apply.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
What would be so difficult for authorities to simply say that blue lights can be used to ask people to move out of the way because somebody's in a rush, but they can never ever be used as an excuse for the breaking of regulations?
You cannot use the blue light brigade because you are late for an appointment. Don't create a situation where you are the creator thereof. There is no excuse for you to contravene legislation because you think you need to get the person somewhere before a certain period of time.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702.
The car feature.
15 minutes to 3 o'clock. The car feature on 702 is brought to you by Mechanic and Motorite, bringing South Africa's trusted mobile mechanics to you. And as we jump into our car feature, where we're going to be chatting something I have to be honest, I'm so unfamiliar with, which makes me super excited for this conversation. I encourage you to get your questions in. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702 as we chat prototype racing in the battle of speed. GT versus prototype versus super bike. We are joined in studio by Damian Hammond, South African endurance racing driver and one of the country's premier multi-class circuit racing championships. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Can I ask you to come right up to the microphone? There we go. There we go. Welcome. Thank you for coming through.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Please, can you share with us, what does it mean to be an endurance racing driver?
There's a lot to it. It's not as simple as everybody thinks, just jumping in the car and off you go. There's a lot of homework, what you do in the background. There's a lot of training, what you do, preparation. So there's a lot to it than just jumping in.
So explain the endurance aspect, because many people are just familiar with seeing Lewis Hamilton going around and round and then champagne and then woo!
Yeah, so there's a big difference between Formula One and endurance racing. Endurance racing is a very much a team effort. It's not just all about the driver and how quick he can go. It's more about maintaining the car, looking after the car. It's about what the people are doing inside the pits. It's a whole team effort what goes into it.
And the one you're going to be doing is how many hours, the one that you specifically do?
So this week in the 21st of February at 4 hours of Swartkops, we will be doing the 4-hour race. So we're looking forward to it.
Please explain some of the complexities that maybe as a normal person would not understand, because one might be like, how? 4 hours? That's you getting to Bloem if you're driving 120. Explain what makes it so technical so we can also have a greater appreciation for your skill.
Yeah, so when it comes to the 4 hours, you got an extra teammate with the car, so you have to compromise a bit within yourself to help your teammate. It's not all about just what you can do yourself. So there's a whole aspect to it. It's how you set up the car, what you do, how the car looks after its tires, the fuel, the management of the car. A lot of it comes also into pit stop management, pit stops. So there's a whole background discussion what we have with our engineers, going through the cars, going through the stuff. So it's all about pacing. It doesn't help you be the fastest guy on track, but unfortunately you can't finish the race.
Oh, right. And I guess that's what endurance is all about, is pacing yourself. So talk to us about prototype racing. What does that mean?
So prototype racing is a different category to GT cars and stuff. That's a lot like your Le Mans style LMP cars. So that's fully built for racing. It's a full carbon fiber cockpit. It's very, very technical. You sit very low to the ground, basically on the floor. The whole dynamics is high downforce, high speed. It's an incredible car.
Does that mean if I'm going to try and take what you've said and really bring it down to the level of those that don't live in that world. It's something that is built from scratch. It's not something that you buy in a shop and then you pull it apart and add stuff to make it cool and fast, but you build it from scratch and it becomes custom specifically for that purpose.
Yes, custom built from motorsport. A lot of the cars what you see here in SA all gets brought in from Europe here. So everything gets shipped in from Europe. There's a completely separate company what builds and manufactures the car just pure for speed and for racing.
Is there anything unique that we contribute to our prototypes as Africans?
It's a very unique stage at the moment in South Africa where it comes to prototype racing. We're still trying to build it up a bit more. It's to get that basis of coming in with the younger generation to build through to it. So when it comes to motorsports, you got your steps and your stepping stones in order to go into prototype racing, and it's all to get that haven into feeding it.
You were talking about something to do with you're driving low and then there's something, a down something. Maybe help us understand what that means.
So when it comes to motorsport, you've got certain categories. So you start off with go-karting, then from go-karting you'll go to like a polo, from a polo to a super polo, then to like a GT4, then you get into your GT cars, and then from your GT cars you go to your prototypes. So there's a full stepping stone before you just jump into the big bad mean machines.
Before I ask what a GT is, I'm going to take a step down. What is a super polo? Is that a pimped out polo?
That's a pimped out polo. It's a lot like a polo is what you get on the ground.
Yes.
But it's all fully stripped out, race ready, what you can get from VW Motorsport.
Basically, you're just using the body.
Yes.
Okay. And
just the body and the motor.
Okay. And then chat to us about what a GT is.
So a GT car is based off your supercars. So, for instance, we run our Merc GT3 AMG. So when you look at a normal Mercedes-Benz going around on the road like your GTRs, that is the type of car what we have, but it's been completely redesigned from the shell up. So they basically just take the chassis of the vehicle, and then everything other than the chassis all gets modified, all gets purposely built for motorsport.
So when we say supercar, we're talking Ferraris, Porsches, Lamborghinis, and that type of thing.
Yes.
And then, of course, I'm assuming that because this is already kind of built as a sports car, it's in a different league, but it's below the prototype.
Yeah, so it's a very big step up from your supercar, but it's just below your prototype racing, which is the pinnacle of endurance racing.
So what gets kept in a GT? Do you just keep the body of the Ferrari and then everything else changes?
So basically it will just be the body and certain engine components. Other than that, everything else is completely different on the vehicle.
Okay, so now we've spoken about the different ones. I'm going to assume that the ranking you've given, the go-kart is obviously the slowest and the prototype is the fastest.
Yes.
But when it comes to endurance, who ranks where in those different cars?
So your prototype racing will still be just that step up from your GT cars. So they will just be a bit quicker every single lap. But over a lap distance...
Wait, what do you mean quicker every single lap?
So they might be a bit quicker, like 0.1, 0.2 of a second over a complete lap. Let's say, for example, at Swartkops with the 4 hours. Your GT cars will do about a minute, just below a minute, where your prototypes will be about 0.1, 0.2, just quicker, because they got that little bit of an edge. They're lighter, they're quicker, they're more nimble. But over the long period, if you've got a quick driver and a slow driver, it kind of doesn't play in your favor if you've got two drivers what are a bit more on the same pace, because over the long run, they'll pull out ahead of you than a quick driver and a gentleman driver.
Which category is the one we see on Fast and the Furious where Vin Diesel presses the button and then the fire comes out the back? Actually better when Ludacris presses the button and they end up in space.
So that's a bit more with your drag racing.
Okay. Because the distance is quite short.
The distance is quite short. There you're only looking for a bit of speed over a straight line distance. We're more worried about how quick can you go through a corner than how quick can you go in the straight.
What goes into the kind of training that you need to do what you do? There's a message here from Chad in Joburg who says, I'm convinced that racing is what I was put on this earth to do. To me, there is no bigger thrill, and I'm a good driver. Where could I get myself qualified enough to make racing my career? And maybe you need to humble all of us that have fantasies that I'm a good driver, I can drive fast. What actually goes into it?
There's a lot of preparation. We sometimes do some work on the simulator to help us prepare for a race weekend.
And those are the life-size ones you sit in. Yes. That it is literally mimicking what's going to happen to your body
inside the vehicle. So we do a lot of preparation. There's gym, all of that stuff. What we do on the side as well to keep our body fit. The thing what works the most when you're sitting in a race car working is your core. Believe it or not, your core is one of the factors what works the most inside the vehicle.
Why? I mean, and would polo drivers survive because they like to have their seats lying down?
So with polos, that will be the worst instance possible, laying down in your car going to the racetrack. We all got specially built racing seats built for motorsport. So your whole seating position changes to a normal vehicle. You sit a bit closer to the steering wheel, to the
So
pedal
you
box.
guys were judging us women for sitting close to the steering wheel, but it's good for racing.
But it's good for racing. No, but there's a lot of stuff what physically goes into it. The biggest thing is you have to go through certain rankings to build up your skill level. So a lot of it's reaction time, how you cope under stressful situations, all of it what's going through. It's not just as easy as everybody makes it out to be.
If you are on the road for that duration of 4 hours, and I'm assuming that the adrenaline in your body is pushing, you might get dehydrated, want to drink water. Can you actually go to the loo, or do you guys secretly wear diapers?
So how it works is there's a nice system inside the car what's a drink system. So
Yes.
the nice thing about it is you just push a button and it pushes water straight into your mouth, which is quite nice. The bit more of a disgusting part comes in when you have to go to the bathroom. There's no such thing as a diaper or anything like that. So then you relieve yourself, but you don't tell your colleague what gets into the car after you.
Oh my God!
So as soon as you get out of the seat and he jumps in, you can feel he's got a very nice warm seat, and you can start smelling the odor and all of it inside.
But the adrenaline makes you
vehicle.
forget because you just keep going. So
Yes.
why would wearing a diaper make it uncomfortable, or just reduce your ability to be good at what you do?
So a diaper will be extremely uncomfortable inside the vehicle, especially with the harnesses what we got. So it's not like a normal car seatbelt what you
Yes.
have. So we got a seatbelt called a 6-point harness. So there's actually 6 straps what hold you into the seat itself. So you got 2 over your shoulders, you got 2 over your waist, and then there's 2 what comes in between your legs what pull up.
My goodness, we learn so much every day on radio. So the South African Endurance Series is kicking off its season 4 hours of Swartkops. That's the 21st of February. And of course, the venue is Swartkops. It's a 4-hour endurance race. Head over to swartkops.co.za and you'll be able to see tickets where there's a kids zone, VIP hospitality, a food village, and live entertainment. And of course, if your car needs a service or repairs, but you just can't find the time to take it in, there's a solution. Mechanic, in partnership with Motorite, makes car services and repairs convenient by sending mobile mechanics to your home or even your office, so you don't have to sit at a workshop or rearrange your day. They send trusted mobile mechanics to you with clear and upfront pricing, giving you added peace of mind. Book your trusted mechanic on Mechanic, that's MICHANIC.co.za today.
Hollywood Bets introduces the Soccer Punters Challenge Weekday Edition, a new platform dedicated to the beautiful game. You stand a chance to score a share of the 1 million rand daily jackpot. Bet R5 or more on selected EPL, PSL and UEFA Champions League clashes during the week and correctly predict 8 out of 8 winning margins. You could also win the free daily leaderboard prize, where a share of 25,000 rand is up for grabs. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Selling your car this new year, WeBuyCars makes it quick and easy. Simply complete the form on webuycars.co.za to get the best offer in minutes. Then visit your nearest pod or branch or have WeBuyCars come to you. Ready for a new ride? Browse thousands of budget-friendly vehicles online or in-store today. WeBuyCars, the quickest way to buy or sell. Thank you so much for joining us on 702 Afternoons. It's 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
The MK party challenges ANC during State of the Nation debate, and Ramaphosa pays tribute to the late Jesse Jackson. Good afternoon.